Welcome to Taking Stock with Lisa Brown. My special guests today are two of my favorite teenagers, my twins, Corey Brown and Bella Brown. They're about to be 14. They're in the 8th grade. And today we're going to talk about money and teenagers, spending it, saving it, and investing it. Now, as a financial advisor for the past 2 decades, this is a really common question that I've got from clients and friends of our family. How should I talk to my kids about money? What do my teenagers need to know about money? So today we're going to do a show about teenagers and money. And I'm going to share some questions with my children that they'll respond to, and then I'll give some additional context to how I, as a parent and a financial advisor, would answer these questions and how you can share this information with your teenagers when they're asking you about money. So the 3 topics we'll talk about today are spending your money, saving your money, and investing your money as a teen. So the first question I'll pose to Corey and Bella is, what does money mean to you? Corey, why don't you go ahead and start? What does money mean to you?
Money is a thing that you earn through hard work, and you can use it to buy or save however much you want. And I think money is like a gift because it gives you the possibility to make up your own mind on what you want, instead of just going around and having your parents get you what they want to get you.
So that's a great point. And I agree with that. As a teenager, this is when you first start to have a certain level of independence. You have freedom to do things outside of your parents' constant watch and control. You start to make your own social plans and decisions. And in many of those social plans require having money. So you also brought up the point that you need to earn the money, and you can decide whether you want to spend that money or save that money. So again, I think as a teenager, this is when you first need to really have a solid understanding about money, because you're personally experiencing the actions you can take and sometimes the consequences if you don't have enough money. Bella, what does money mean to you?
Money is something that I'll earn, like Corey said, through hard work, and I'll be able to spend it however I choose to spend it, and I can save it however I choose to save it.
So let's talk about making money. So what are some of the ways that you guys have been able to make money as a teenager? We'll start with Bella.
So I babysit and I pet sit, usually over holiday breaks, and I make a pretty decent amount of money there, and I use that money to for my choice and how I want to spend it, because it's my money.
And do you prefer, Bella, to spend money? Do you like to spend money more, or do you prefer to save money? What feels better to you?
So long-term wise, I always feel better if I save it. And sometimes if I do spend a lot, I'll have some guilt that'll just keep on to me.
Which is really such an experience that adults have as well. There's adults who feel better saving money and they feel really guilty spending money on themselves. And that's something that, people have to struggle with their whole life. How do I balance what I spend and what I save? As a parent and as a financial advisor, I always feel better erring more towards on the side of saving, because I know how important that is to have extra money set aside for the future in case surprises come up. So I love seeing that you have found that understanding and balance for yourself. Corey, what about you? How does spending money and saving money feel to you?
So I personally like the feeling of spending money. Obviously, it's not a long-term thing, because when you spend money, usually what you're buying isn't permanent. But I think my biggest issue is how I don't save enough, and I should definitely start doing that, because everything I'm buying now isn't going to help me in the future.
So let's talk about ways to save money. So you both have bank accounts, you both have checking accounts, and you've got a debit card attached to those checking accounts. Bella, you've got a savings account. Corey, I don't think you've got a savings account, right?
Mhm.
So for you realize that saving is probably something you should do a little bit more of. What are some options for you to save more money? How could you do that? What are some things you could do to control saving money?
I think I could control myself, and whenever I do make money, I could try to save maybe 20% of it, so I'm not spending all of that. And if I do have to spend more than that, I'll try to save more on the next time I get money.
So, a couple great points there. You've thought about a percentage of your money that you want to save. I love 20%, 25% is great. If you can get in that habit early in life of saving a percentage of the money that you make always, you'll set yourself up for so much success in the future. So you may have heard that phrase, pay yourself first. So Bella, for example, if you dog sit and you make $50 and you decide you want to save 20% of everything you make, that's $10. You immediately put the $10 in your savings account, and that other $40 that you have, you can spend it on whatever you want. And guess what? It reduces the guilt. So Corey, you talked about having some guilt when you spend money. If you save your money first, doesn't matter what you spend the rest of your money on. You can blow it on whatever you want because you've saved what you need to save to make sure you have enough in the future first. This is a lesson that as a financial advisor, we also talk to adults about. So this is a lifelong lesson that you're learning as a teenager that you hopefully will need to carry you through life. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is investing money. So I was on a call a week or so ago. I was giving a presentation to a number of college students around the topic of my first book, which is Girl Talk, Money Talk, The Smart Girl's Guide to Money After College. And one of the college students on the call asked about investing money. So she'd been regularly investing in stocks and had some questions about that. And I loved hearing that. I know when I was in college, I didn't even know what a stock was. I had no idea how to invest. Now, both of you have investment accounts that we've opened in the last couple of years. And this was a way that I wanted to start teaching you about investing in stocks early in life. So, Bella, let's talk about your investment account. Tell me how you've interacted with this account and how often you look at this account.
So I'm usually not the best at looking at it very often, but I will look at it maybe once a month and just see who's like what company is up in stocks and what one's at a good price to buy right now.
So how do you know if a stock's at a good price to buy? You don't really, right? Bella's giving me this look like, I really don't know, Mom. So this is something that even adults struggle with. It's not an obvious answer. It's actually a pretty complicated answer. And this is why there's a whole profession of people that do things like I do as financial advisors. And one of those components is watching good companies, how their stock price performs, what they're expected to do in the future. And do you think that stock is going to go up in the future or down in the future? And do you think that stock is maybe on sale now versus maybe where it could be priced in the future? So earlier this year, this 2022, we've had a bit of a bumpy year in the stock market. Earlier this year, I sent you and Corey a text and I said, hey guys, the stock market's on sale. Go buy something. And Bella, what did you respond to me when I said stocks are on sale?
So I said, is it an all-day sale or is it just an hour sale?
Which I thought that was the best line I'd ever heard. All day sale or a 1 hour sale. So your experience with sales is more related to some clothing, like some brand names that you like to follow, right? And they have a flash sale. In the next hour, you can get this pair of leggings for 40% off or whatnot. Well, the stock market's really different. So when I say, hey, things are on sale, I see that the stock market in general has gone down quite a bit in a short amount of time. And I know that there's a lot of good companies out there that are selling for a lot less than they should be. So when I say stocks are on sale, that's what I mean. But what I don't know is how long the sale is going to last. And when you invest in stocks, you don't know that. But what we do know about the stock market is 3 out of every 4 years, prices tend to be up. So the best thing that you can do, the younger you are and the more you're investing in stocks, is to keep putting money into stocks, to keep buying. That's a way to save money as well. If you buy the stocks and you hold them for a long time, that's investing, and that's a way to save money for the future. But Bella, you mentioned that you've got the stock account, but you don't really look at it that much. It's not really of interest to you,
No.
right? Corey, let's talk about your stock account. So this is something that we started for you about a year or two before Bella. And why was that? Do you remember why we started this stock account for you?
I think it was because I asked you about it.
Right. So you had an interest in investing in stocks. You were curious about it. And so we worked together to start thinking about some companies that you know about, right? Maybe some brand names of clothing you buy or places you've gone, experiences you've had. And we talked about, what those companies are, what they sell. These are products that you know. And so that's how we started making some decisions together about what companies, what stocks that you should buy. Corey, how often do you or have you watched your stock account?
I think it's definitely gone down, but I still try to check it at least like once a week.
Okay, so this is really different. So Bella probably looks at hers maybe once a month at most. You look at yours about once a week. Now, another difference I've seen with your stock accounts is the money, Corey, that you have in your stock account, it's pretty much all invested in stocks, right? So when you get new money in your stock account, you almost immediately go look for things to buy. When Bella has money in her stock account, it sits in cash. A lot of it sits in cash. There's not a lot of your money in your investment account that's actually invested in stocks. So Corey, talk a little bit about, as you look at these stocks that you own and you follow them, do you think much about, hey, is it time to sell? Or do you think more about what else should I be buying?
I think currently I think more about what I should be buying because I don't plan on selling any of my stocks until I'm a lot older. So if they go up a lot or go down, it doesn't make much of a difference for me because I'm hoping that like way further in the future, they'll be higher up.
That is such a smart and intelligent thought process. And it's something a lot of adults struggle with, which is thinking through this money I have invested. Do I need it now? Or is it really meant for later? And so if it's meant for later, you shouldn't get emotionally charged, happy or sad, whether things are up and down, because you know you're not going to need to touch this for the future. Do you have other friends that have stock accounts?
Not that I know of.
I don't either.
Do you think that they should? Do you think this is a good experience for teenagers to have, or do you think it's a little too young to have a stock account?
I think as a teenager you should get one. I obviously probably started way earlier than I needed to, but I think it's helped me because now I have more of an understanding at an age where you should be starting.
And Bella, what about bank accounts? So how often do you look at your bank accounts?
So I look at my bank accounts a lot more, maybe like once or twice a week, just to see how much money I'm spending so I can kind of budget my money.
So do you think that the amount you look at your bank accounts is the right amount? Do you have friends that look at their bank accounts that often, or how do you think your friends interact with their bank accounts?
I don't think my friends look at their bank account very often, because especially on Fridays we usually go shopping, and they just don't seem like they have a budget to their money, and they'll spend it so quickly so that next week they don't have any money.
And so this is an important message too, that budgeting is important to know. So neither of you have unlimited money coming in, right? So you don't have a regular job. You don't have this big paycheck that comes into your bank account to replenish what you're spending. So you need to be aware of what my balance is. You also know you don't want your balance going too low, because what happens if your balance goes too low in your bank account?
You go broke.
Well, yes, you can run out of money, but you also could be paying fees, right? So if your balance goes too low in the type of bank accounts you have, you could be paying fees. Now, for kids, there's a lot of other bank accounts that you could have where there's no balance needed, there's no fees attached. But for the bank accounts that you guys have, we chose to open them so you could earn a little bit of interest, but we knew we had to have a certain balance in there, right? That's the bank's rules, that if you want to earn some interest on your money in the bank, you have to keep a certain balance there. And if you fall below that balance, there's a fee. So there's a little bit more complication sometimes to these bank accounts as well that teenagers need to know about. But I think the most important concept here is making sure it doesn't go down to zero, right? Or certainly go negative. So what questions do you think that your friends, have you ever heard your friends ask you about money? Do they ever ask you about money? You guys ever talk about money with your friends?
I don't think I really talk much about money with my friends. It's not that much of a topic of discussion. But when we go to Dunkin', or sometimes we go to the recreational center in our area and there's vending machines, it's definitely interesting to see okay, do I worry about spending money at the spending machine, or can I just get whatever I want?
Right. So there's a little bit of a social experience you have with money as you see how you make decisions with money versus your friends make decisions with money when you're in a group setting or a social setting. But it can be a little awkward to talk about money, don't you think? It's not really a common conversation among children.
So I actually have another thing on this topic. So sometimes I go shopping with my friends and they'll be like, "Oh, Bella, hold my money," because they don't know how to spend it. So I would have to be their personal bank, just hold their money for them.
So they must look at you as responsible, probably good with money. They probably watch how you spend your money. And that's another important lesson about money is it can be emotional. Some people know that they're not really good with money. And this is why when we go back to talking about automatically saving your money first, make sure any money you make, you save a certain amount first. For people who know they can't control themselves when it comes to spending, they want a lot and they want to buy a lot. It is so, so important for those people to be disciplined to save their money first, because this can go on for years and years and years, where you spend and you spend and you spend and you keep saying, okay, tomorrow I'm going to save, tomorrow I'm going to save. And guess what? Tomorrow doesn't happen for a long time. And that's where people can really get themselves in trouble, not only when they're young, but throughout their adult life. So these money experiences you're having as teenagers, these lessons you're learning, not only are they so important to now set you up on a good path, but these are things that you're going to be experiencing as an adult, and you're going to see your friends experience as an adult. So I appreciate both of you joining me this morning to talk about teenagers and money, spending it, saving it, and investing it. I hope that this episode is really helpful for any of the parents listening, as well as any of the teens listening, to help set yourself up for a very successful and financially happy future. Thank you so much for joining us, and be well. Stay tuned for an important disclosure. The statements and opinions expressed herein are subject to change without notice based on market and other conditions. The information provided is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment or legal opinion. Please consult a tax or financial advisor with questions about your specific situation. Investors may not invest directly in an unmanaged index. Past performance is not a guarantee of future returns.